This is the first video in the Tech Leaders Spotlight video presentations. I'd like to first of all introduce Kevin. Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself and say hello?
Yeah, hi, my name's Kevin Coulson. I'm the head of product delivery at Natter. So my main responsibilities are overseeing the production of new features for the Natter product, which includes heading up the development team, the management team, and the design team from a management perspective, but also providing technical leadership to the development team.
Excellent, good stuff. So tell us a little bit about yourself then, Kevin. Sort of give us a bit of a synopsis of your background and where you got to today.
Yeah, so in early 2000s, I was actually working as a tester for when chip and pin was being implemented.
Right.
So I was testing the new chip and pin sort of till systems. Then after that, I went traveling for a year, went around the world with my now wife. And then when I came back, that's when I really started doing software development. Did a lot of on-the-job learning with that. And basically progressed up to a senior developer, and eventually came to Natter as a senior developer about 5 years ago. Since then, I've kind of moved up. I became the dev lead for the dev team, and then I've kind of progressed into being sort of managing all of the dev stuff, delivering the product, really.
Excellent, good stuff. And could you talk us through the sort of the tech stack that you currently work with, and sort of what your product does and who it does it for?
Yeah, so the product is it's what they call an omni-channel customer services platform. And what that means is if a company wants to speak to their customers through various different channels, such as social channels or more traditional things like email and chat and voice, we provide a central platform where all of that comes in, and basically it's got a UI where an advisor could answer a tweet or a Facebook message or an SMS, and it all just looks the same to them. So they obviously know which one they're replying to, but it's a common interface for them to manage all of their incoming customer service requests. So yeah, that's the core of the system. And basically anybody who needs to speak to their clients would be someone that would benefit from Natter. So we've got retail giants like ASOS and AO,
right.
Energy providers like OVO, and we've just actually got an agreement with an airport. So it's a broad range of customers who would use the Natter solution for speaking to their customers.
Certainly airports are a place where communication is key, isn't it? Everyone gets stressed about not knowing what's going on, so that sounds like a useful place to do it.
Yeah, and the airport in question is quite an interesting use case that they want to put in place to make it a lot easier for if customers are in the airport to actually speak to someone.
Yeah. So what tech stack does it sit on, and how do you evaluate what tech you use? So
my background is in .NET, and the back end microservice architecture is all .NET. We've recently just upgraded everything to .NET 6, so the latest version of .NET, or the latest long-time support version. So all the back end sits on .NET. The front end is React.
Yeah.
We've spent a long time, but we've replaced a previous back end, which was Angular, with an up-to-date one, which is React. So that's the back end and front end, and then because it's microservices, there's service bus in between everything to talk to each other. The microservices are a mixture of sort of APIs and services. So we've got service bus to enable them to speak to each other and have separation for the microservices. And then we've got various databases. So our core database is Mongo, but we've also got SQL databases, Redis databases.
Yeah,
it's quite a big system under the hood. So we've got a quite basically use the right tool for the right job kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So we always evaluate when we're doing something new. We evaluate what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, and what's the best solution for that. So we don't really tie ourselves down to using a specific thing because we've used it before. We use whatever we think the best tool is for the time, which is not necessarily. It's a balance between sort of having the knowledge within the team to actually work with these new tools and not having too disparate tech stack. But still kind of working with what you need. What's the best tool for the job? So right now we've been building a large reporting suite, which is quite a lot of data, and we've started using Azure Data Explorer, which is a fairly new Azure tool, but it's really good for very responsive data querying. So yeah, we'll use whatever makes sense at the time, basically.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me last week when we were chatting that which I thought was an unusual approach. I've not heard people mention this before, that you allow your devs to pick, in some cases, their own tools, don't you, that they see fit for the certain work. And I would imagine in most working environments, a tech stack is defined and that's what people are expected to use, but you have a different approach and a different view on that, don't you?
Yeah, so traditionally I've always used Visual Studio as my IDE.
Yeah.
And especially when I came to NASA, there was a few people using Rider, which they quite liked. And basically, it doesn't really matter which IDE you use. So we've got a lot of different ones. We've got Rider and Visual Studio for the back end, and then there's WebStorm, VS Code. It's basically whatever tool the developer feels comfortable with. It doesn't really make any difference to me. The outcome is the same.
Yeah.
And if they have a preference of which tool they want to use to do that, then I just don't see the point in forcing them to use something that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah, of course. And what is it? What is it, do you think, that makes your product better than your competition? Then or your services that you offer better than your competition? So
our product is in a market where there's a broad range of competitors. So we've got very self-service, go on, sign up, you'll never really speak to anyone sort of options. And then you've got very complex beasts that often require like a consultant to come in to actually configure it for you for how you want to use it. We sit in the middle. So we have a very complex workflow system that sits underneath, but you can just go on and sign up and we'll configure it. Kind of automatically configures for you to do the basic things that you want to. But if you do want to do more complex things, you have specific use cases that are important to you, we do have that configurability, and we have people internally who will help you do that. So we would never go to a model where you require an external person to come in and configure it for you or teach you how to use it. We have that expertise in-house, and we have a lot of expertise in customer services generally.
Yeah.
A lot of the people in the business have come from a customer service background, so they know how to make a customer service center work.
Yeah.
And they know how to make NATA work for the customer service center.
Yeah, excellent. So who would be your ideal customer then?
It's basically anyone that needs to talk to the customers. As I mentioned earlier, we've got very big clients and we've got very small clients, and we've got various tiers of pricing to enable either of those to use the product and be successful. So there's not really an ideal client except one that wants to talk to their customers and do that efficiently and in a way that makes the customers happy.
Yeah, of course. So I noticed that you write quite a lot of blogs about managing staff and stuff. So you've obviously probably gone through a process where with COVID, your working styles, if you will, have changed. What happened for you in that period, and what sort of new working practices have evolved through that?
It was quite interesting because we already had fully remote people when COVID hit and the lockdown started, but we also had people that were full time in the office. So we were kind of always already geared up in terms of technology and everything for having meetings with people being remote. So the main difference there was obviously everyone was remote, and that impacted different people in different ways on a personal level. But in terms of work, it didn't have a massive impact on us really. We were able to carry on working, and we didn't see much of an impact on productivity or anything like that. But the main difference was when the lockdowns ended and people started coming back to work. We found that people liked working from home. It gave them a better work-life balance, and that they're already at home when they finish work, for one, but also they're able to, like, we have several people with children, and if they want to just nip out and collect the kids from school and bring them back, doesn't really make any difference to me if they're spare for 10 minutes during the day. So what we basically saw was people appreciated more flexibility.
You're right.
So we basically allowed everyone to become fully remote if that's what they wanted to. We offered hybrid models and office models. Basically, wherever you want to work, that's fine by us, as long as you're working. And that's kind of progressed now. So what we've seen is an empty office a lot of the time. We do have concerns that kind of affects the sort of culture, and people's interpersonal relationships. But a lot of the staff talk to each other out of work. They have similar interests. We use Slack, and we have channels that are purely for talking about TV shows or model making or various different things that people are interested in. And so we kind of maintain the culture through that. And we've been able to offer a lot of different flexible ways. So we've recently introduced 4.5 and 5 day working weeks.
Right.
And we have different people working on different ones of them. Like some people, they just wanted to work an extra hour Monday to Thursday and then have a half day on Friday. That really works for them. Other people working longer hours Monday to Thursday and they have every Friday off. And then other people just want to carry on as they were. So
excellent.
Yeah. And then during the day, like I say, we have some core hours. So the middle of the day is when we'll put our meetings. Obviously not lunchtime, but either side of lunchtime is where we'll put our meetings. And then if people want to start a bit later, that's fine. If they want to finish a bit later, that's fine, as long as they do their hours within the day.
Yeah.
Fairly flexible. So I think that's where where lockdown really had an impact, was it forced us to look at it and say, well, there is no impact on productivity when we're more flexible, so why not let people work how they want to work, fit work around their life rather than life around work. And it's really worked for us, what I can tell. And actually we're just in the process of downsizing our office, because we still want to maintain an office and people still want somewhere to go and have meetings and things, but we just don't need such a big space with people working from home. So we've got the best of both worlds there.
So what style or techniques have you adopted then to manage a remote workforce then, compared to sort of previously? I mean, obviously you said some of your team are remote anyway, but how do you keep them feeling part of that culture and part of the team and motivated and all those other good stuff? So
there's a lot of tools we use. So Slack, we have a lot of channels where people have, the individual teams have their own channels where they talk and they do talk all the time in those, because they're very collaborative in the way they're developing the product. But also we have daily meetings. We had these anyway, but daily stand-up meetings where we get together and everybody talks. We usually have about 5 minutes of sort of banter at the beginning of those.
Yeah.
So just to give people time to like say good morning and kind of catch up, and then we'll get onto the work stuff. And then just with Slack, they've introduced something called huddles, so you can just jump on a video call with anyone at any time, and we do that all the time. It's almost akin to just like nipping over to someone's desk.
Yes.
To have a chat. It's that easy, and because we always have, one of the things we say is always have your video on. So you can, it's not just like a phone call, it's you actually see each other and have a proper conversation. So there's days when we're never off video calls. Yeah. And then there's days where people just crack on with the work. So there's different ways, and using the tools and the technology that's out there. Yeah. Just to help you kind of work remotely but stay in touch all the time.
Yeah. And what's the size of your development team? give us an idea of that, Kevin.
So there's currently we have 6 developers, 3 testers, and a designer and a business analyst.
Right. Okay.
So they all work very closely with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I say, they talk all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And what sort of employment value propositions have you put in place to make sure that you both attract and retain the best quality for your business?
So I think we've tried to keep salaries competitive. So we put fairly competitive salaries in place for everyone that's in the team, and then what we tried to do was build a very transparent and achievable progression path, so everybody knows how to progress. They know what they have to do when we review it every year. Yeah. They know exactly what they need to have done in order to move up and what they'll move up to if they achieve that.
Right.
But we also have a couple of years ago we moved the holidays up to 30 days. We wanted to have a really good offering in terms of leave, so everybody gets 30 days off plus their birthday.
Yeah.
So nobody works on the birthday. And then, like I say, we've introduced the flexible working hours, the flexible working week. Yeah. Just to give, I think that's kind of, we're quite a small business, so we can't necessarily offer like very expensive things like that, but we can offer a good working lifestyle and a good work-home balance.
Certainly sounds like it. Really does. Really, I think that's the way forward. There's a massive demand for flexible working, and the hot topic, isn't it, about the 4-day week? Is it better than a 5-day week? And obviously you guys are doing something along those lines already, aren't you, in terms of giving your members of your team those options to choose from?
Yeah, and I don't think it works for everyone. I don't think it works in every profession, is my personal opinion. But I think in something like what we're doing, and it really helps that there's a broad, like some people want to do the 5 days, they have kids, they want to finish and be home for that. And then other people want to condense it, work longer on those days. And it gives us the full coverage. So why not? Yeah.
Absolutely. So my final question is, what does the future look like then? Sort of what plans do you have for this year and going forward? How does the future look for you?
So in terms of NASA, we're working on quite a long-term project on this reporting solution at the moment, which is we're hoping to finish sort of midway through the year. And then we've got a load of extra features that we want to, not quite ready to talk about them yet, but a lot of new features that we want to add into the system by the end of the year. In terms of me personally, I'm very happy with NASA at the moment. One of the things I've always wanted to do is to go into a business and help build that business and build a product. Yeah. And that's really what NATA's all about. They've got an amazing product. We've got an amazing product, and we'll just keep adding to it and making it better. So continue on that, really.
Excellent. All right. Well, I wish you all the best for this year, and thank you for joining me today, Kevin. I wish you all the best.
Thanks very much, Gary.